Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the May-June 2024 paper 1 variant 1. So we will move on with question number 11. It says the diagram shows what happens to amino acids and part of the human body. What describes processes P and Q? So we have 4 options. So amino acids are absorbed from the ileum into the bloodstream through absorption. And then it says that the amino acids go into the body cells from the bloodstream. So from the blood, the amino acids go to the body cells, and there the amino acid is used to make different proteins such as hemoglobin, enzymes, or antibodies, and this process is known as assimilation. So P is absorption, Q is assimilation, and hence the option is A. Let's move on to question number 12. So question number 12 states that a dish is filled with agar jelly containing starch. 4 holes are cut in the jelly and each hole is filled as shown in the diagram. After 30 minutes, which hole will be surrounded by the largest area without starch? So we have an agar jelly containing starch. So the gray area, it contains starch. And amylase solution is an enzyme that converts starch to fatty acids and glycerol. And hence A is the correct answer, which is amylase solution. And the second one is wrong. Protease solution is also wrong. And the gastric protease is also wrong. Oops, sorry. This is agar jelly. Hence the correct option is A. So we will circle that. So let's move on to question number 13. It states that a healthy person eats a meal containing carbohydrates. 2 hours later, which structure will contain a liquid with an increased concentration of glucose? So we have colon, we have hepatic portal vein, we have renal artery, and the ureter. So we have to note that the person is consuming carbohydrates. Now carbohydrates, they are eaten and then digested into simple sugars called glucose. And then the glucose are absorbed from the villi directly into the capillaries, and those capillaries, they are drawn into the hepatic portal vein. So the correct option is B. Let's move on to question number 14, which states that which cells in the gas exchange system produces mucus? So by definition, goblet cells, these cells are named for their cup-like shape and their primary function is to secrete mucus. So the correct option is B. Let's move on to question number 15. Which equation represents anaerobic respiration in humans? We have 4 equations given to us, and so anaerobic respiration is basically a process, and it is called lactic acid fermentation, and it happens in the muscle cells when the demand for oxygen outpaces the supply. So the equation is glucose, which is converted into lactic acid, plus energy. And the only option that matches is option number C. So this is the correct answer. Let's move on to question number 16. The heart acts as a pump, pushing blood through the circulatory system. The arrows on the diagram of the heart indicate the direction in which blood flows, at which point the pressure of the blood is the greatest. So C here, the vessel C is basically the aorta, and that is responsible to supply the blood to the entire body. So we'll write aorta here. Then it supplies blood to the body, and hence that needs the greatest pressure. So the correct option is C. Question number 17 states that a person's cuts and grazes do not heal and their blood does not clot easily. What may be the cause of these symptoms? A higher than normal level of fibrinogen, a higher than normal level of red blood cells, a lower than normal level of platelets, and a lower than normal of iron. So the correct option here is C, because platelets, their function is that they are small cell fragments found in the blood, and their primary function is to stop bleeding by forming blood clots. So let's circle option C. Question 18 is, how is the malarial parasite transmitted to humans? Here the correct option is D, by mosquito saliva entering the bloodstream. And I'll explain this by drawing a diagram. So first let's circle this. There we go. So here I'm drawing an infected person who has malaria, and this is a mosquito. And now the mosquito sucks on the infected person, and the plasmodium, it enters the mosquito. And now the mosquito, it's going to suck on the uninfected person, and the saliva containing the plasmodium, it enters the bloodstream of the uninfected person and it infects it. So the correct option is D, by mosquito saliva entering the bloodstream. Question number 19 states that some fatal diseases are associated with smoking tobacco. In 1990, the government of a country began a campaign to persuade people to stop smoking. The graph shows the number of people dying from smoking-related diseases in the year after 1990. If the number of people dying from smoking-related diseases continued to fall at the same rate, in which year would there be no deaths caused by smoking? So we have a graph here which states that the number of deaths due to smoking-related illness on the y-axis. Here, if we just extend the gradient, it falls on 2030, and that is our option. So C is the correct answer. Next is question number 20. Which diseases can be treated effectively with antibiotics? So antibiotics are used to kill bacteria, and we have three options here. Let's just write bacteria here. And we have three options here. The only bacterial disease is cholera, and HIV is a virus, and malaria is a parasite. So the only option is D, since 3 is the correct one, and 3 only is our correct answer. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next part.